Hello, and welcome to a video. What video? A special one. Whatever type are there? If we want to make it official, then it would be in celebration of 1 year making YouTube videos. I started on April the 18th, so we are a few days early.
So that was a fucking lie.
This is going to be a hybrid video. This is going to be, there are two tags that I went through. The postscript book tag, I watched a couple of those, I watched Grace's and everything, and then also just an anniversary tag, and I watched like Andrew's, Philip's and Joanna's and that type of thing. And I realised that I wanted to put the two together and kind of pick which questions I enjoyed out of them, because I think the anniversary one's just a bit of a some weird questions in there. Mainly, I just want to thank you all, because I did not anticipate, I think I've said this enough on the channel, but when I started, it very much was a plan for an echo chamber to scream into the void and receive absolutely no response. And instead, 1,000 of you fuckers have stuck around. Now, sticking around and watching the videos, of course, is a very different thing, but sticking around nonetheless, and I appreciate that. So I decided to leave the long price quartet thing open, because then I can kind of put it together and say that I'm doing the giveaway for that. But if you go head onto the Discord, in case you're interested, it's a nice place. Me and Grace share it, so it's not all degenerates. There's some nice people on there as well. And I'm giving away 2 copies. Do I have them near me?
Tomorrow.
This is one of them. The long price quartet. This is the price of war. It is an autumn war and the price of spring. The other one looks different to this, but I'm giving it away to people in the UK. So if you're interested, pop on along. It's in the description. Why not? So to get on with what we're actually doing, we're going through, it's kind of like a stats video, apart from I don't keep stats and it's very vague. And we're just going to have a time. It's just going to be a time. So the first one is the longest book I read and the book that took me the longest to read. They aren't the same answer. I was shocked. I felt for sure that it was going to be something like Dead House Gates or a Wheel of Time book. But, oh no, I'm wrong. I literally just wrote these down and I forgot that the answer is Dead House Gates. But the one I was shocked about, that took me a month. But the one I was shocked about is that according to Goodreads, which, I mean, I don't know why I'm saying it like Goodreads changes it. I input the information. So from what I've inputted, it took me a month to read Well of Ascension. And I don't remember it taking me a month to read Well of Ascension. Now, both of these, I read 2 books simultaneously. I normally read a fantasy book, then a uni book or something like that, or a literary, etc. Together. So sometimes it takes me a while to get through the fantasy books because I've got uni work I need to pile on with. But a month for Well of Ascension. And then I thought it took me ages to read Gardens of the Moon. It says it took 8 days to read Gardens of the Moon. Oh, I feel like I'm getting Mandela affected by Goodreads. Goddamn Amazon out here. But the other one was Dead House Gates. It took me a month to read Dead House Gates, once for the same reason. Uni reads at the same time. You got to balance it up. And then the longest book I read, according to very vague numbers spewed out by Google, was Eye of the World at 300,000 words, because it says The Great Hunt is less, and it said The Dragon Reborn is less. Ship of Magic was an interesting one. Ship of Magic had like one saying it was 270, one saying it was 320,000. So I couldn't get a concrete number on that. Whereas with Eye of the World, you can get the concrete. You know, the fucking nerds have counted that shit. So that one is definite. 300,000 words. Aloha. Now this is a kind of spoiler one, the next one. It's the book that I read that was most out of my comfort zone. And I do have to say that, like, I read a lot that was outside my comfort zone this year, but then because I kept reading it, it became the wheelhouse. So like contemporary, or no, like literary, or plays, or I don't know, horror or some shit. There's a bunch that I started reading for the first time and then it stuck around. So it's not exactly outside my wheelhouse anymore. The one that I can think of that is still outside of it, and it's actually a spoiler for a book that will still be in a video where I'm reading Man Carrying Things' favourite books, is 40 Lashes Less One by Elmore Leonard, which is a Western. and I went into it extremely hesitantly. I did not think I was going to enjoy this book. Westerns are just old-timey white people's gangsters, and I fucking hate gangster books and films, so I automatically also hate westerns. That's backwards logic, but it's the logic I have. I don't really like... The only western film I can think that I like, that I would watch again, is Bone Tomahawk, which isn't a western film. It's a mad, cannibalistic horror film. It is one of the most horrific films I've ever seen, and I loved it. It was an amazing film. That's going to be my answer for this, is that rather than talking about 40 Lashes Less One, because I'm still going to talk about that in a video, instead, I'm going to recommend Bone Tomahawk, the film, because my god, is that a good film. How many books did I reread? I'm going to count. 8. I reread 8 books in a year. That's pretty mad. I didn't think it was going to be that high, because I haven't read a lot before starting Booktube again to reread. But to let you know what I have reread, I reread Legend by David Gemmell. You read that when I was a kid. Frankenstein I read a year ago, and then had to reread it for uni, so that was a reread. Of Mice and Men I did at school. Loved Of Mice and Men, still do. Preacher Volume 1 is absolutely insane. Love it, 100% recommend. Mistborn trilogy, so all 3. There's no need to say anything about that. I've spewed enough about it. And then Animal Farm I reread, and I read that one as a kid as well. And Animal Farm's still a classic. It's amazing. But it does ask what the favourite reread of the year is, and that would be Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson. I forgot how much I loved Mistborn. I'd relegated it in my mind by reading Stormlight Archive and then not reading Mistborn since I was a teenager, and kind of relegating it in my mind of being like, I liked it, blah blah blah, like it's not as good as Stormlight. Mistborn slaps, it's so good. And Hero of Ages, I forgot just how much I loved that book. The journey that I'm not going to spoil it because it's the last one of this trilogy, but the journey one of the characters takes and the thematics that are pressed upon and questioned, incredible piece of literature. Complain about the prose all you want, every author, no one's perfect, and you can look at like that every author has that thing that you kind of like, oh, I wish they didn't do that. And it's just that Brandon Sanderson doesn't have any significant voice in his prose. It's just transparent, it's there. Hate that as much as you want, it's just a fact. A book that you read for the first time that you look forward to rereading. This question I answered straight away in my head. It's a book that I read very early on in making videos, and I still cannot stop thinking about it. And it's The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle by Murakami. I have never stopped thinking about this book. I don't know, it's like a staple in my head that pins everything together. And whenever I think about literature for long enough, The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle creeps its way in there. I loved it. It's amazing. It's like watching, this is going to be a weird one, but it feels like I'm watching Enemy, directed by Denis Villeneuve. And if there's a film that I absolutely adore, it's Enemy, directed by Denis Villeneuve. It's like a weird identity. You're not quite sure what's happening, what's real, what's not real. I wrote a really dumb short story based on an idea I had from Wind-Up Bird Chronicle. It's ever present in my mind. Next one is favourite single short story or novella that I read. And immediately, the answer as a whole is Exhalation by Ted Chiang. It's a series of short stories and also has the novella. I love Exhalation. I've got a review on the channel. I will very much be looking forward to rereading Ted Chiang as well. He just does wonderful stories and compressed into such small page numbers. And I don't understand how he has such a mastery of the short form. But the story in particular is The Life Cycle of Software Objects, which is the story of, it spans like a number of years, and it is the raising and then the journey of an AI. And it's set in this kind of virtual space where, I don't know how to describe it. It's this self-discovery around AI and these beings that have been created, and it's just such a poignant and wonderful story that if you haven't read Exhalation, you're a sinner. You're a sinner, and you will be punished in a very severe manner by some kind of deity. I cannot say which. A book you would recommend to a wide variety of readers. I mean, The Hobbit. There's a reason it's one of the best-selling books of all time, and everyone's read it. Kids can read it, adults can read it. The Hobbit's a classic. The Hobbit exists in a realm of its own, even separate from The Lord of the Rings in terms of popularity. I think in terms of popularity and actually being read, I'd say The Hobbit is definitely more popular. And it's hard not to love it. The other one would be Ocean at the End of the Lane, because Ocean at the End of the Lane, Neil Gaiman does a wonderful job of telling these fantastical stories but containing it in a very real sense. So you can't have the snobs that are like, oh bro, I don't read fantasy, I only read like real books. They'll still get a kick out of it because it's got that kind of humanity aspect of taking place on Earth, but it also appeals to the fantasy fans in terms of having strange storytelling. It's a cozy read. It makes you want to curl up and read it. I find it hard to believe that anyone would really have a big problem with Ocean at the End of the Lane. Like, I can't see anyone being like, oh, I hate that book, because it's just doing what it does. And a book you liked that you would recommend to only a few, and there's two for this one. These are relatively new books I've just read, which is The English Patient by Michael Ondaatje and The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. They are both incredibly, they play with the narrative framing, they play with time, they play with narrative perspective, who's telling the story. They're doing so much with language, and they're doing so much with storytelling as a whole, and really playing with boundaries. Considering that The Bluest Eye is Toni Morrison's first book released, that's insane in of itself. But yeah, they're playing with conventions in a way that they're definitely off-putting sometimes. And I would say The English Patient more so plays with a narrative framing that kind of puts you off at points. But as you go along, it drags you back in, and it's a very interesting experience. And then it's reflect on your year as a content creator, which is where we're going to flip here. We're now going to flip into the anniversary tag, where I've taken a few questions from it. First one is, what anniversary is it? It's 1 year. We've been together a whole year now. This was probably the day that I actually filmed the video a year ago. And so much has changed. I've been abroad for the first time. My girlfriend lives in said country that I visited. The Discord has coming up to 100 people in it with 1k subs. I get to have conversations about books. My uni work is going well. I have nothing to complain about, really. I always will, because the outside world exists. But this very insular capsule that we lock ourselves in to watch and talk about books, that stuff's going fine. Outside of it, I mean, we'll see. What genre or genres do you focus on? I mean, do you need to know this? If you've watched this far in, you know who I am. It's fantasy, it's classics, it's whatever I fancy. Is there anything you plan on doing more the next year? Reading sprints. I would like to do reading sprints because I'd like to talk to people in person. I'd like to invite people. I did almost do one, but then things occurred that I couldn't. But if you have watched it this far and you are interested in reading sprints, first off, let me know if you are. Second thing is, let me know when you'd want them. Would you want a weekend, weekdays? Blah, 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 blah. Give some ideas. And also who you'd like to see. Or if you're a content creator that would like to be in a reading sprint, let me know as well. What are some challenges you faced on your channel? I mean, my laptop broke. My old laptop broke, and I stopped making videos for like 3 months because hard to make videos when you've got nothing to edit on. I understand people edit on their phones or something like that. I don't have an iPad or something like that I know some people edit via that method, but I only have my phone, and there's no way. I'm bad enough at making YouTube videos without not being able to edit as well. I'd put my head through a wall. So I took a break. I mean, like, uni work adds up as well. Mix in some mental health stuff, and you got a nice little mixture. But we're plodding along. We do the business. We do the bits. What equipment do you use to film your videos? My phone. I did have a microphone. Not working. Very sad. So I do use my phone, and then I just have an editing software, like a free one on my laptop that I pay absolutely nothing to make videos, because I'm a cheapskate. I mean, I did pay for a microphone, just doesn't work anymore. But you know what it is. Best piece of advice you can give to another booktuber: do it for fun. Don't worry about what people think, because it really doesn't matter in any way whatsoever. Read what you want. Destroy books if you want. Don't read them. If you start reading something and you're like, bro, this isn't the best, throw it in a bin. Be yourself. Try not to piss and shit all over the floor. That's always a good one. The amount of times I finish a YouTube video where I've pissed and shit all over the floor, it's a hassle. I'd warn you against it. And the best part of having a booktube channel, you've made me soppy. It's you fuckers. I do enjoy having conversations. Going on Instagram or the comments section or Discord especially, and just being able to talk to people about the books I'm reading, the books they're reading, getting suggestions. I've hit a real place where I don't care anymore. There was a time when I was making skits and stuff where I was really worried about making the channel something, etc. When it kind of popped off a little at the start, my brain kind of went, oh, and then I was like, who fucking cares? Because who does? I understand there's a real benefit to doing it. It could go somewhere, but I genuinely just I don't know, with being at uni and stuff, it's like I just need a hobby. I need something to enjoy, and this is something I now enjoy. I know I can go on somewhere, and if I want to organise a buddy read, if I want to organise someone to talk to, I can just reach out and have conversations, and that is without a doubt the best thing about it by far. And I would recommend that to you, because there's nothing better than getting involved. Even if you don't make videos, just having those conversations draws you in, and it lets you think more about the books you're reading, and it makes you feel like you're part of a community. And I understand people don't have time for that, but I don't know, I'd 100% recommend it. And that would be the entire video, I dare say. Once again, just such a big thank you to everyone that's watched any videos or anything. Even if you've hated it, even if you've hit a dislike, and you're like, this guy fucking sucks. Thank you. Because I don't deserve the time, but I'll take it. As always, love you all. Have a nice rest of your day.